Let's go!
In September, as soon as pre-orders went live, I ordered the new Super Mario 3D All-Stars for the Nintendo Switch, a collection of Mario's first 3D games, all in one convenient package. I was going to lock it away for later, as a Christmas present for my 3 oldest kids, since they had expressed some mild interest in the game, and I had no better ideas, and so I thought, well, why not? I'll go ahead and get the game. And so I did, and there it was going to stay, hidden away until Christmas morning. But then the controversy started pouring in. People are upset that it's a limited release. They don't like that it's only 3 games and not 4 or more. They don't like that it's emulation and not a complete remake from the ground up. They dislike the price. They call it lazy. They call it a cash grab. Everyone seems to be talking about how Nintendo packaged the game. But what about the quality of the games themselves? How does this package hold up for people who've never owned or played any of these games in the first place? Here's the thing, none of us have ever played any of these games, so we're untouched by expectations for things like updates or better graphics or special features. To me, this just looked like a fun opportunity to play 3 classic, widely loved Mario games with my kids. $60 seemed fine to me. Sure, I always want to pay less, right? I would have gladly taken this for $6, but I paid full price for Mario Odyssey at launch. Why was this compilation of 3 games any worse? Anyway, like I've said, we've never played any of these games before. My kids were all born after these games were even made, and I'm a retro gamer stuck in the 80s and 90s. For me, Mario 64 still feels like the new stuff. We don't have an N64, we don't have a GameCube, we don't even have a Wii, but we do have a Switch. And we are probably the very people that Nintendo had in mind when they put this thing together in the first place. So, is Mario 3D All-Stars collection worth $60? Let's find out. Mario 3D All-Stars is a tiny collection of 3 massive games. Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64, Mario Sunshine for the GameCube, and Mario Galaxy for the Wii. Mario 64 is a special one because it is widely regarded as the first successful 3D platformer, and for many, this is the game that defined their childhood. In fact, for many, this is the greatest game of all time. But not for me, because I'm old. I was like 14 years old when Mario 64 came out, and I was a Sega guy. I didn't want anything to do with this slap-happy Mario nonsense, even in 1998. After I used my macho construction job money to buy an N64, I did it for a man's game. That's right, WCW NWO Revenge. Yeah, baby! And GoldenEye. Man, first-person shooters are never gonna get any better than this. And then eventually, the Ocarina of Time, the greatest fishing game ever made. But I never once, not once, considered buying myself a Mario game. Mario was for kids. Kids played Banjo-Kazooie. Kids were dumb. No, instead I got myself Pokemon Snap. Now that was a game for men. But now here I am, more than 20 years later, ready to degrade my masculinity and give it a let's go!
What I did?
So, what do I think of the legendary Mario 64? The industry-changing game that kicked off a 3D revolution? It's good. For an early 3D game, Nintendo sure was thorough with this one. Mario has an impressive array of maneuvers, even by today's standards, and it was pretty easy to get him to do whatever I wanted, most of the time. However, Mario also feels very slippery when running, more slippery than I'm used to in a Mario game. And while it's true that being able to move in any direction greatly enhances the immersive effect of video games, it's also true that the speed and precision-based platforming that made the classic Mario games so good is also mostly absent in this game. In a 2D Mario game, you can just run forward and hit your targets and navigate obstacles, about as fast as you can push a button. But now you have to traverse an entirely new dimension of mostly empty polygonal space. This makes doing everything, even inane things like opening a door or collecting items, much more tedious. Of course, the big gain is the appearance of being able to go anywhere and do anything, in a vast world of exploration. but very quickly you find out that you're more or less on rails here. Sure, it seems like you can explore a vast castle, but without the necessary amount of collected items, stars in this case, you still have to start at the same first levels, and you still have to go in more or less a predetermined order to make progress. This makes exploring the big empty castle mostly just a confusing, boring waste of time. Until you memorize where everything is and where you're supposed to go, the castle hub is this game's biggest obstacle to being fun. It's a cool idea, in theory, and it's pretty exciting at first, but in execution, it kinda sucks. The levels themselves, thankfully, offer a lot more variety, and each one is so unique and so lovingly well crafted that finding a new one is like getting a new toy at Christmas. You're still pretty much on rails, but you have to really bend over backward to dispel the illusion. With so much to explore and do within every area, it really does feel like you have complete freedom, when in reality, you're being constrained to what amounts to a virtual 3D obstacle course and a checklist of simple, linear objectives. Some of these objectives were too easy, like this foot race in level 1 against a slow-moving Koopa Troopa, but many others take a lot of practice and patience to master. Mario 64 really loves its slide mechanic. It took me a while to get used to it, but I eventually found my way and have had a lot of fun with it. I never did get used to controlling Mario while he was flying through the air though. I loved the concept and the badass music, but as anyone who's lived through early 3D games can tell you, flying through rings is really a terrible time to be had. You know what else was terrible? Trying to get this little baby penguin back to his mother. Oh. Wait. Never mind. I guess it wasn't really that bad after all. Mario 64 is a true classic, and I definitely had a lot of fun playing it. Once I got used to the controls and learned my way around Princess Peach's confusing, big empty castle. The game is huge, even by today's standards, and we look forward to 100%ing all of these crazy different fun objectives, even the crappy ones, like everything that happens in this water level. If Mario 64 is 1/3 of this collection, then I guess I have to ask myself, was this worth $20 on its own merits? And I think I have to say yes. Yes, I think that it is. Mario 64 is worth $20. Especially if you're like us and you've never really played this game before. I know a lot of people don't like that this was just emulation, and that Nintendo didn't remake everything from scratch, but this game is incredibly large and detailed, and I personally think the upscaled resolution looks great. I also kinda like the nostalgic look of Mario 64's chunky polygons. For an N64 game, this already looked very good, and now it just looks a lot better. Mario 64 isn't the greatest game of all time. It isn't even the greatest game I've played on the Nintendo 64. For me, that would be Ocarina of Time. But it is really, really good, and it is one of the most important games in video game history. I'm glad I finally got to play it, and I would gladly play it again, especially now that I know what I'm doing. Somewhat. Abe, I hand this controller over to you.
I got to review Mario Sunshine after a whole day of Mario 64 torture. That is, I had to play that game for like 6 hours straight with my dad. This song has been stuck in my head for the last week solid. So I was relieved to try something different, and this game is really different, like very, very different. So different in fact that Mario's going back to his roots as a plumber. My history with this game is me just, wanting it, and not knowing the awesome story. I'm happy we finally have it along with the 2 other games, and here's what I think of it. Well, the tutorial is very bland, but after it's done, it's great, until you get to the next tutorial. In fact, the big problem with this game is that there are too many times the game tries to tell you how to play. Tries to, that is. Does anyone even read all that text? Like, I know how to use water guns, guys. Come on. I also know how to ride a squid. So, this game probably makes you think about water. But water is just a small mechanic within many jokes and bigger mechanics, like this part where this happens. But I still think the water gun is great. Flood is a great water gun which can also turn into a water jetpack. But you can only stay in the air for a little bit, so you might fall at the very worst times. A thing I don't like in this game is when you get thrown in jail in the beginning and they tell you to clean everything up. It's a punishment, because now I don't really feel that free. And I don't like how sometimes you don't even know where to go. Overall, I think Mario Sunshine is a must-play, especially if you like exploring the world where you turn around and you don't know you're looking at a secret until later. I give this game a 9 out of 10, almost perfect.
Hello! Super Mario Galaxy is another Mario game that was emulated for Super Mario 3D All-Stars. What sets this game apart from the other two games is that it is set in space, not on land. To start, I'd like to point out that I've never played Mario Galaxy before. Not until now. It came out in 2007 and I didn't come out until 2008. I mean, I wasn't even born until 2008. Anyway, the first thought I had about this game was, it's going to look like a game from 2007, but I was proven wrong. The game looks like Mario Odyssey, almost. The controls are tight and are best compared to Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. For me, walking around planets couldn't be smoother. After the early parts of the game, you will find that there is less focus on planets and more on platforming. A criticism that I have is the difficulty level. The game can get too easy at times, but what can I say? It's a Mario game. The motion controls in Mario Galaxy are practical and make a lot of sense for feeding stars. The music is orchestra style, and it isn't as catchy as Super Mario 64 music or Super Mario Sunshine, but that kind of sound would be really weird in Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy, Mario Sunshine, and Mario 64, that is a great deal and is worth more than $60.
Thanks, Claire. That was brief and to the point. Have a chocolate bar.
Thanks!
Well, there you have it. In our opinion, each of these games would have been worth $20 by themselves. And since 20 plus 20 plus 20 is equal to 60, we have concluded that $60 is in fact a reasonable price for this awesome package that we are actually still enjoying and probably are going to continue to enjoy for months to come. These games, even old games like Mario 64, really just pack a lot of great content and replay value. Do we wish Mario Galaxy was included? Sure, that game looks good too. Would it have been nice to get more extras like behind the scenes interviews or something? Yes, that's also true. But we're coming at these games as people who've never experienced them before in the first place, so for us, the games by themselves, on their own merits, was enough of a benefit. But did these games need to be remade? No, I think people asking for that are being naive as to how costly and time-consuming that would have been. No, the truth is that these games were already exceptional, they already look good, and each one was already worth playing, just the way they are. I no more wanted Nintendo to remake Mario 64 than I would have wanted Disney to remake Mulan. Well, that's it. That's our review. We think it's worth it. Slurp, 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 slurp. What do you guys think? Are they gonna try and do one of these for Zelda? And what do you think of Mario 3D All-Stars? Do you think it was ultimately worth the $60? Let us know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.